Hello.
Hi, Barry.
And welcome back to our years. So considering we're well into January of 2025,
Yeah.
I think it's a good time to be reflecting on all that was in 2024.
Yeah, that year went by in the blink of an eye.
What are some of the things that remind you or stood out to you in 2024?
2024 had a lot of changes for me personally, but what stood out globally, I think, was one, the sort of prevalence of AI and how it spread, and the implications of it, not just in how people started using it, but also in terms of how some companies, like hardware, for instance, suddenly became the forefront of conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Like Nvidia to support the AI kind of paradigm shift. I think, yeah, definitely anyone who got on that Nvidia stock bandwagon.
Yeah.
I think those are the guys we should suss out.
Yeah, that should be the filter on Hinge.
Correct.
Do you have Nvidia stock?
No. Just jokes aside, though, definitely that's something that stood out to me as well.
Yeah.
Just like the trend in general for AI and how we're really shifting in the way we work, the way we do things, the way we search and learn.
Yeah.
Through information online.
Yeah, for sure. And then, yeah, we can discuss a lot of the implications and pros and cons and what it means for us. What about the fun stuff? We had a brat summer.
Oh my gosh, and Moo Deng. Oh my gosh, that hippo literally had the internet in a chokehold. I mean, fair, it's damn cute.
Yeah.
But
she's damn cute.
Okay, sorry. To be
misgender
more
Moo Deng.
accurate, yes, she is very cute.
Yes.
Very dramatic, very cute, very demure.
Very demure. Oh,
Very
yeah,
cutesy. That was also a very
another one.
2024.
It's really funny because I work in data science, and like a lot of the people that I work with, like some have double PhDs and stuff, so they're really big brain. And to hear them say things like very demure, very cutesy, straight face, it's really funny.
For sure. But like personal wise, what stood out to you in your personal life or career or professional growth?
Yeah, so personal life, we both got picked in the H1B lottery.
Yeah, that's a huge one for us.
That was, we were, okay, so context is that you need basically, we were on the F1 visa, the student visa, and you need the H1B lottery to essentially continue working in America because the student visa does expire after a certain time period. Right. And so we could have had to leave the country if we didn't get picked in the H1B lottery.
Right.
So that was a big deal. And I think that changed how we started living our life here, sort of. I feel like I started integrating more into society because up until that point, I was still like, one leg
guys,
there,
like, listen, we're roommates. So when we moved into our first apartment, Rima did not want to get any furniture.
Yeah.
Because she was like, I don't know what it's going to be like for me in this country.
Yeah.
And so she literally, it was just a bed frame and like some cabinets and a desk.
And one of my friend gave us a couch.
Yeah.
Like she was getting a new couch.
Right.
So she gave us her couch. So we had that. But otherwise people would have to probably like just sit on like
literally
a picnic blanket if they came to our house.
And we would like buy like one of each of everything so that we didn't have to like get rid of these things. And it's so funny now that we think about it.
Why did we live like that?
Right.
Because okay, in hindsight, sure you could look back and think of all the things that you could have done better. But I think just the admin work that would tie to like getting rid of that stuff or moving it.
Yep.
It was just, I don't know. In my mind, it wasn't worth it. Yeah. So getting picked in the lottery was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
Both professionally and personally, I think that had a huge implication for what that means.
I think your butt was so clenched before that moment. And then now that you have the H1B.
Yeah. First of all, the news came out on a Monday. And my lawyer didn't tell me that I got picked until the following Friday.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, one more year.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. So for context, this was our second lottery. Or second year in the lottery, and so we would get one more turn. So,
I guess going further into personal growth.
Yeah.
What else stood out to you? Us moving to SF was a huge one, I think. We lived in South Bay for 2 years.
Yeah, we lived in Sunnyvale.
Yeah, and that I mean, like that was partly because Rima's fully remote, and because I work in South Bay, so it's a lot easier commute wise for me.
Yeah.
And I really like that apartment. I think it was just the fact that Sunnyvale or South Bay in general, like, is more family oriented.
Yeah.
Right?
And people are very much like sort of set in their ways. They have their own circles or they're set in their life almost. So I don't think people were really looking to make new friends.
Yeah, I think definitely like the people in South Bay are a little bit like my personal observation, and I feel like a little bit more comfortable in their little bubble, and so they have like their own friends. And so for people like us who just moved to the Bay Area, I think
It's hard to integrate.
Yeah, it's hard to make new friends. It's hard to create a community.
Yeah.
Without having people already living there.
Yeah. I think we did pretty well though, all things considered. We did make friends.
Yeah.
We developed hobbies.
Right. But just like comparing what it's like in the city. The reason we moved to the city is because obviously we want to be able to go out, do things, and have like a environment where people are more willing to meet new people.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
How about your professional growth? Like, did anything stand out for you in 2024?
Yeah, I got promoted.
Woo!
I got promoted. That was nice. I think the company that I work for, or at least the management team that I have, they were really good advocates for me, which is nice because that's something that not a lot of people find.
Right.
So that was a big aha moment for me, that I did have advocates for me at work. So that was a really nice thing that happened last year.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely like something to celebrate. I think for me personally, like it's that feeling of no longer feeling like I'm the new person, you know, and feeling like I have experience and I have something to share. I bring value to the team. I think that was a huge one for me.
Yeah.
I think everybody goes through this. Like in the first year, imposter syndrome is like, it's always there, right?
Yeah.
Like, and some people don't talk about it.
So
I wonder if it's almost like a sign of weakness, and that's why people don't like talking about it. It's almost like saying that, you know, I feel like an imposter because I'm not worthy of this job, or like this space, there's no value that I bring to the table, you know. And that's part of feeling like an imposter, right? Like,
so it's almost like if you say it out loud, it becomes true, and so you don't want to say it out loud.
Right. And yeah, maybe we didn't talk about it enough, like, you know, in the workspace. But after having been at my job for like a year or two, I think when I chatted with other people about it, like everybody's, everybody goes through it, right? And you should not feel ashamed about it. But yeah, that's to say that like from that, I feel like huge growth in the sense that I now feel a lot more confident about the value that I bring. Another big one for the both of us in 2024 was finally feeling like we have like a community of friends here local to the Bay Area. Like not people that we already came to the Bay Area with.
Yeah.
And I think that was nice for the both of us. Like,
it was.
Feeling like we have a group that we can go to, do things with.
Yeah.
You know.
It's really interesting because this is the first time as an adult I've actually had to go out and consciously put myself out there and make friends.
Yeah.
Because I lived in India and Bangalore for 28 years of my life, and I went to the same school for 12. And so I've had the same core friends, even in like that like transferred to undergrad and my first job. Like my circle just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I didn't have to make new friends per se. Like I didn't have to consciously do it.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing when I moved here.
Yeah.
Making friends as an adult is hard.
It's so hard. And I think it's funny because I feel like when we chat to all our friends about this, everybody says the same thing, right? Like we've never had to consciously think about making friends and consciously put in effort, right? Obviously you put in effort to like keeping your friendships alive, but like it was so easy.
Yeah. Like as an adult, you're going and asking people, hey, do you want to be my friend?
Yeah. Which is hard to do, right?
And now it seems so obvious that's something you do when you move to a country. But when I was moving here, that wasn't even one of my like top 10 thoughts that I had to make friends. It was.
I think another like difference that actually contributes to this is that like growing up, you're always in a school setting, right? And like in school, you just have people your age, like-minded, you know, and it was just so easy to make friends.
Yeah.
But now that we're in the workspace, you're kind of like contained to the people you work with.
Yeah.
It's hard to meet people outside of the work.
Yeah.
Right?
it's also now you're really developed as a human, and you know what you'll put up with and what you want.
Right.
And so, but as a kid, you're just like, it's fun and games, right?
Yeah.
But now it's more intentional on who you want in your life, who you're going to make an effort for.
Right.
And also, there's so little time.
There's so little time. I was just about to say this point as well. And I think like the point that I was going to make is that people our age, the reason it's hard to make friends is because, like you said, it's limited time. So
Yeah.
people who already have friends will only spend time with their friends, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not going to spend extra time going out seeking new friends,
Yeah.
right?
Another thing personally is that, so I'm from Coorg, which is a small town in South India. And when you grow up in Bangalore, which neighbors to Coorg, where I grew up, Coorgis have always been around me, right? My family's Coorgis, so my cousins were always around. And if there was festivals to celebrate, we'd always have family around to
Right.
do it, right? But since moving here, I've realized that that connection that I have to Coorg, I'm not going to have it until I make an effort to develop it. So when I moved here, one thing is also, yes, making friends and that stuff. But I also realized that if I want to stay closer to my Coorgi roots, that I do have to seek out a Coorgi community here.
Right. Right.
And that's also something that I didn't realize that I wanted.
Yep.
First of all, so
Yep.
when I realized I did, then I was like, okay, I need to go seek those people
Yeah.
out. And I've been very lucky. There is a huge Coorgi community in the Bay Area, and they've been very accepting. So that was also nice. And that's also something that, you're just like, okay, you realize that if you want this in your life, you have to make an effort for it. And
For sure.
the ROI is there,
Yep.
but you just have to like put yourself out there and do it.
Yeah.
So personally, that was an interesting learning.
Yeah.
Making friends 101.
Yeah. Making friends for dummies. What else do you think stood out to you in your personal life? How about dating?
Oh.
Let's get into that.
Okay, so an interesting learning last year from dating. Okay, let me actually switch it up and give some context. So I've never online dated. So because the people I've dated typically are like friends of friends or have been in my circle. And so that's also another thing I didn't have to seek out.
Right.
But then when I moved here, I think online dating just became another forum to meet people. Right? And last year was the first time I tried it. And I think I wish I had tried it sooner, because when I was doing it, I was so in my head about finding someone on an app. There was almost stigma attached to it, subconsciously. I don't know why. And then once I started doing it, I was like, oh, it's really not bad. Sure, they're strangers, but like a lot of them are very earnest and very easy to get along with. And I was so in my head about the process. But once I started doing it, I was like, it's not that deep. Why was I resisting this so much?
I think especially having come from a maybe more conservative environment, such as India for you and Taiwan for me, right?
Yeah.
I think it's not as widely accepted yet. Whereas moving here to the States, right?
It's very commonplace.
It's very commonplace, and people kind of resort to that when you need to look for a partner or when you need to make new connections, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of my friends nowadays have actually gotten married, and I want to say 5+ couples got married 2-3 years after meeting on dating apps. And so that just goes to show that it works.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, just another forum.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. So that was a big personal hurdle that I was able to overcome last year.
Yeah.
To sort of like not have to not have the head stories about dating online. Yeah.
Obviously, safety is important.
Yeah.
So just make sure. It's funny. I told Rima, when she goes on these dates, we share a location just to make sure that, she doesn't get taken. Because this one here is she'll go to someone's house on a first date and
one time. I did that
multiple times.
One time.
Listen, they invite you over for dinner on a first date to their house. Are you not scared your head's going to get chopped off?
I'm just like, yay, I don't need to think about dinner.
Yeah, so I think people are going through a phase of dating fatigue. And so I think there's almost in my opinion, in 2025, I feel like there will be a shift to dating more in like real life and meeting people in real life. And I think, yeah, we'll have to actively do something about that. I'm going to like social events and meeting people through friends of friends, etc.
Yeah. I don't think that'll be okay. I say this now. Maybe we'll see at the end of the year how I feel. I was gonna say that I don't think that doesn't sound so bad to me.
Right. And it
think-
may have a year ago. Or
Yeah, I think a year ago when I moved to the Bay and like right after grad school, I think I was really burnt out. And so I knew I had to do all these things, but it was just so hard to do it. And I'm an extrovert and I actually like hanging out with people, and that's how I sort of recharge.
right.
But even then it felt like so much. So in the last year, that was also something that got better.
Yeah.
And going out didn't feel like such a chore.
Right.
And I was, it was interesting when I was back home in India for the holidays in December, I was looking for some photo from the year and I was just going through my photos, and we did so much last year.
It's true.
We
It's true.
traveled so much. We went to so many concerts. Shout out Avril.
Oh yeah, Avril was such a time.
She was.
Can we just have a moment for Avril?
We
Like
can have a moment
the
for her.
whole of Bay Area in their 30s showed up for this event. Like it was the greatest.
Yeah, I've never seen Shoreline so packed.
Yeah. Just getting there was like an hour and a half from Sunnyvale, which was like wild.
That was wild. Yeah, we traveled so much. We like all these concerts, the music festivals that we went to. We just did so much. Like I think every weekend was really packed, and I think it helps like having someone to do it with.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely true. So as Rima knows, like on my socials, I've been creating like little memory videos or reels on Instagram to kind of document my life like in months. And I think the reason I do that is not for other people, right? For myself. So when I was like looking back, like you were doing, and going back on your photos, so Rima doesn't have socials.
I have LinkedIn.
So she scrolls on LinkedIn, but she's not posting on LinkedIn about her personal life.
No.
But yeah, so my reels, I think, was a good way for me to reflect on my past year. And you're right, like every weekend I felt like was a new adventure, and I was doing something new, trying something new, hanging out with friends, meeting new friends, and it was just so great. It was like such a good year in terms of feeling like I'm finally making a life out of here, and like having moved here.
Yeah, I think maybe 22 we just finished school. We were like doing the job hunt.
Right.
23 was getting used to sort of the new normal, and I think 24 was like thriving.
Right, definitely. Yeah, and I think also because of how hard it is to make friends, I felt like I had this motivation to reconnect with old friends. So in 2024, like I kind of like started reaching out to people that I knew were in the Bay Area, and maybe I haven't chatted to them in a while, but because of socials, you kind of see where they are, what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if I felt like, I could really see myself being friends with this person or like hanging out with them, I kind of reached out to them, and it's been great. And now we are reconnected and hanging out. So yeah, I definitely encourage people to not be afraid, if you had like a fallout with someone, or if you just kind of fizzled out, or like your friendship faded, don't be afraid to go back and reach out, right? Because you guys were friends at a stage in life for a reason. Yeah. So yeah, I think that wraps up 2024 for me, at least.
Yeah. I think net 2024 was really good. Yeah, no complaints.
No complaints.
I mean, I'm sure I complained a lot during the year, but
I'm sure you did.
Now that we're out of it, I'm like,
what's fun without complaint, Rima? Okay, no, only positive vibes.
only positive vibes.
And guess we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.